What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Adventure Outpost. We ain't wasting any time today because we got a good one that we're diving into. I have just recently finished showing my fiance my favorite show of all time, and that is the show Lost. One of the most divisive, wild, crazy, amazing shows that have ever come out. It set the bar for how TV is done today. There was nothing like it when it first came out. It was one of the first big water cooler shows. And today I am going to be ranking every single season that I loved of Lost. Now for me, I'm a Lost purist, man. I love everything. I don't hate any season. Certainly there's going to be a season that's going to come in last place, but just because it comes in last place doesn't mean it's bad. It just simply means that everything else that came after or before it was just that much better. My fiance loved the show as well. It is such a unique show. I implore anyone who hasn't watched it, get onto Hulu, watch it, see it for the first time. I know so many people that I talk to that avoid giving it a chance simply because of all the rigmarole that they heard of people complaining about how the trajectory of the show went and where it ended. And, you know, some of those complaints, sure, it's valid. I feel like for some people who ended up hating it because the show turned into something that it wasn't from the first season, it is very much a survival-esque show with elements of sci-fi, but not too much. Whereas as the show really went on, it really started to embrace its sci-fi roots and the overall sci-fi-ness of the story. So for people that aren't really big into sci-fi, I could understand how when the show continued on, that it kind of fell off for you. Those complaints to me are valid. I understand those. The ones that I do not support, or the ones that keep so many people from watching this show, is how everyone goes on and tells them that the end is fucking terrible and that it absolutely ruined the show. And to those people I say, you are wrong. You are wrong. But we'll get into that when we get to that season. Now, I'm not going to try and go into too much spoilery stuff, but there is going to be some spoilery stuff because there's no way to talk about some of the later seasons without getting into some of the insanity that happens in this show. So if you haven't seen the show and you want to watch it and you don't want to be spoiled, do not watch this video. Go and watch Lost and then come back to me later down the line whenever you finish those 6 seasons of goodness. But for those of you that have seen Lost, don't give a shit about spoilers. You're just here to watch, like, let's just fucking roll. We're just going to do it. And we're going to start with, there's 6 seasons of Lost. And coming in last place, my least favorite season of all. Not a season that I hate. I still love every season. This one is just slower than some of the other ones. And that is due to them not knowing when the end date of the show would be, so they had to drag on too much stuff. So this is a season that really gets dragged on with the plot line more than it really had to, and that is Lost Season 2. We got here the extended experience. We got the numbers on there. We got everybody there. Lost Season 2, easily my least favorite season, and it's simply because they had no end date. So they had to stretch stuff on longer than they knew they needed to because they didn't know how long before they can start answering stuff or start propulsing the trajectory of the show because they didn't know when the end date was. You know, TV back then was this medium where you had to stay on the air for as long as possible. You weren't allowed to come on to a show and be like, all right, I got a show I want to make. It's going to be 6 seasons. They're like, nah, I don't think so. Like, we're going to make as many and go on for as long as we can. Lost was probably one of the first shows that changed that. And you see it today with so many shows that come out set to go with however many seasons they're going to get, and that's it. You wouldn't have that today if it wasn't for this show. This is still a really good season. The character work in this season is phenomenal. Like getting, with all of them really start to get fleshed out. There's some really awesome stuff that goes on with Locke. I especially like, even though I can't stand the Walt storyline, I still think that where it ended up towards the end of the season with Michael is really fucking interesting. And he makes a bold choice towards the tail end of this season that is very wild and really shakes it up. Michael Emerson comes onto this show finally as Benjamin, probably the best addition to the Lost cast ever. I couldn't imagine this show without him. He is such a powerhouse, and we get introduced to him here in this season. It is just fucking phenomenal. Everyone's firing on all cylinders. Character work, it's a very slow season for 24 episodes simply because they weren't able to have as much fast pacedness because we don't know where we're going from here. We still don't have an end date. So it kind of, we get the hatch is the big thing that is the mystery throughout the entire season. They find a hatch in the ground on the island and they find their way into it, where there's a button they have to push every 108 minutes or else the world will implode. And they stretch that out over the entire season because they didn't know how long they would need to like stick around there for before they get to something else. So this ends up in last place simply for that reason, but still a really great season with a lot of really good stuff in it. Coming up next is Lost Season 3. This is another season. This is the season where like halfway through is when they finally got the okay from the studios to have an end date. So this is the season where they really started to course correct and just start going fucking wild again, because now they're like, we've got an end date, baby. We're going hard. Where is it? Dominic Monaghan from Lord of the Rings playing Charlie in this. One of my favorite characters. He is fucking so good in it. I love this season for some of the stuff that he gets to do with my other favorite character, which is Desmond Hume. Desmond Hume is the fucking king of the mountain, and getting the two of them to play off of each other and having a really great storyline that culminates in the finale is what makes this season so fucking good for me. I also love you get into the mindset of the others a lot. The others are the inhabitants of the island that were on there before they crash landed, and the people that they are most antagonistic with and fighting with constantly. We get to learn a lot more about them while some of our main characters are stuck being held captive by them. And it's so interesting. It's so awesome. We get introduced to another one of my favorite characters, is Juliet. I fucking love her. She gets introduced in this season. There's just so much good stuff that goes on in this season. And it finally culminates at the end of the season with the most wildly epic, insanity-laced cliffhanger ever. I won't spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it yet. I mean, it's probably everywhere at this point. Most people know about it, but not everyone, because my fiance, when we went into this, she knew very little about this show, and she managed to avoid pretty much every big thing that could have been spoiled for her. So that was really good. So maybe some of you out there are like that too. So I'm not going to go too deep onto what that insane finale is. Just know that this is peak fucking television right there. If you're looking for good water cooler peak television, this is the season that really propels this show to the finish line and made it become one of the most talked about shows on the planet. Also, peep that fucking Dharma thing right there, the Hydra thing. I want that tattoo. Coming in next is the final season, Lost Season 6. To me, I get it. You know, for some people, I can understand why you don't like it. To me, I think it is beautiful. I think it is such a phenomenal way to go out for this show that is always, even though it's been at its core have a lot of mystery surrounding it, this show has always been about its characters. And that's what propels us in this final season, is this send-off and this beautiful finale for these characters together and what they went through together. And that, I think, makes this such a beautiful ending. I think a lot of the people that end up hating on the ending of this show are mostly people that wanted answers to every single mystery. They didn't care what it was. They wanted the answers to it. And this show was never interested in giving you answers in the way you wanted them. This was a show that was about character work. And so if you care about the characters and the journey and the emotional journey that they go on, the end of this show is going to be immensely satisfying for you. If you go into this show and all you want out of it are the answers to the mysteries, you're going to be left disappointed, because they're not going to spell everything out for you. They are not going to answer every question that you want from this show. And that's a good thing. Mystery is a good thing. You're never going to have the answer to every question you ever have in life, so you're not going to get them in this. Though, if you pay attention to most of the stuff and read between the lines of a lot of the dialogue and stuff that happens, you get the answers to all of the big questions. Like, there is not a mystery on this show that I couldn't explain to somebody if they were curious about it and asked me a question about it. Like, if you pay attention, the answers are there. They just don't spell them out for you. And I think that set people off the wrong way. It was like, I don't think anyone would have been excited about an answer heavy finale. Like, it would have just felt like you sitting in a classroom, learning. It just wouldn't have been as poignant as it was, the way they did do it. There's a lot of sci-fi shit that goes on in this season. So again, if you're not a sci-fi fan, I could understand why you wouldn't as it gets later into this season. That's understandable. But if you didn't like it simply because it didn't answer the questions you wanted, then you weren't paying attention to Lost. Lost isn't for you then. This is a character study. This is about character work first and foremost. And to me, that makes the ending of this show beautiful. I think it's one of the best finales that TV has put out. It's hard to stick that landing, and it's hard. It's a hard thing to do. Not many shows can pull it off, and I think that Lost is one of the ones that have pulled it off. Taking the bronze is Lost season 5. This is the season. This season is fucking wild. These next 3 seasons are absolutely perfect in my eyes, and they're simply scheduled accordingly by just what I liked in the subject matter the most. But these 3 seasons are fucking perfect in my eye. It's just so good, and I don't want to go into too much spoiler stuff because it takes away from people if they want to watch the show. So it's tough. But this season is really, this one and another one we're going to get to are so sci-fi that I can understand how it could turn people off. But if you like sci-fi, you need to watch this show. It's so fucking good. Time travel, quantum mechanics, all these like insanity-laced things really take the forefront of these 2 seasons of Lost. It's just so insane how they use science and electromagnetic energy and quantum mechanics and time travel and all this stuff to create this fucking insane show. And Lost season 5 is it at the height of its game, where there's a time travel mechanic that's going on that makes this such a fucking roller coaster ride. And following our main characters as they're trying to like figure out this shit that's going on and try and rectify it is just, it's so fucking good. It's just insanely amazing. If you like sci-fi, look at all this. This is just fucking great. I love these DVDs. If you like sci-fi, just watch this show. That's about as hard as I'm going to go on this stuff. But this season is fucking incredible, dealing with the electromagnetic energy of the island and answering some of the mysteries of the long history of the island. Taking home silver is the one that started it all, Lost season 1. It is insane how good this first season is, and it's no wonder that this show became a cultural juggernaut. It is just such a good send-up of the like Survivor-esque reality show that you would see, to make like a scripted drama about it with these sci-fi twists to it. The character work is fucking phenomenal. Each episode takes a different character. We've got like, it looks like there's like 14 of them in the back. I think, yeah, there's a lot of them that start off with. And each one gets an episode where we go into the flashback about what their life was before the island and how terrible their life was and how the journey of bringing them to this island is going to like change them for good and make them better people. It is such a fucking unique and interesting story. It is so good. All the character work is so great. You got Dominic Monaghan as Charlie, who is this drug addict, rock star who's trying to wean himself off drugs. You've got Claire Littleton, this single mom who's trying to give up her kids her baby for adoption. She's like 8-9 months pregnant. You've got the doctor, Jack, who has these huge family problems and just feels more alone than he ever has in his life. You've got the con man. You've got the Koreans that don't speak any English. You've got John Locke, who I'm going to say very little about because his is one of the best mysteries about the show. There's just every character just fires on all cylinders. It's just so beautiful. And it just some of the character work on this show is fucking incredible that when you get to like some of the sci-fi-ness stuff that comes on, like you're not even like paying attention to it because you're just so invested in these characters that you're just along for the ride. Like this season is peak water cooler television. I remember watching this when it first came on the air, like back in 2004. I watched all these seasons when they aired live. And it was incredible. I was hooked from the very get-go. And taking home the gold, the best season of Lost is Lost season 4. This is the season that really propels us towards what our finale is going to be. It is so fucking good. It's just fucking incredible. Our heroes on the island find themselves tasked with a mission that might finally get them off the island, possibly. And all of the twists and turns that go in with that are just so fucking unreal and incredible. The ending of this show, this season in particular, is just fucking wildly amazing. All the character work is phenomenal again. There's just so much good stuff in this. And this is the season that was actually the shortest season because of the writer's strike, but it ended up working in its favor because it's only, I think, like 16 episodes, but it's just firing. Like, there's no downtime. This season just fucking flies because it's just so in your face intense and there's so much stuff going on. My favorite character, Desmond Hume, gets one of the best episodes of all time of any TV show in this one, called The Constant. I'm not going to spoil too much about it because it's so good. But Desmond Hume's ability to withstand electromagnetic energy plays a huge part in it. And it plays around with the construct of time travel again and the way that our brains function and the way we perceive time. It is fucking incredible. It's absolutely amazing. And this season is just chock full of episodes like that are just peak fucking television. It is absolutely a stunning achievement. And that's my ranking. As you can tell, I fucking love Lost. I am one of those people that will unabashedly and unironically always praise it, always back it up, always defend it against the naysayers. It is simply one of the best TV shows ever made in my eyes. If you are a sci-fi fan, if you love water cooler TV, if you love great character studies, Lost is the show for you. Give it a shot. It's on Hulu to stream. Go on there, watch it if you haven't seen it before. If you have seen it and you didn't like the ending, maybe give it another try now that it's a few years removed, and understand now that you're going in and you're getting character work and not answers, and maybe you might find yourself enjoying it a little bit more. And to those of you that love it out there, go ahead and watch it again. It's great. The rewatch is always fucking phenomenal. It's one of the best shows on TV. What that was on TV. So if you haven't seen it, get out there and watch it. And if you have seen it, let me know down in the comments how much you fucking love it. And let's talk Lost. I could talk Lost for days. But I can't now because now I got to get out of here. I got to get out of the movie room. We got to go do stuff. So until next time, you have been you. I have been me. Go watch some fucking Lost. And until next time, adventure on.